Okay, hi there, guys. It's Claire Mockridge here, and I'm here with Yvonne Radley. Say hi to our listeners there, Yvonne.
Hi, everyone.
Yay, this is exciting, isn't it? Yvonne and I are actually going to be talking a little bit about Yvonne's journey, I suppose, really, journey through sort of a success of blogging. Yvonne is going to introduce herself in a moment, but I thought it would be really useful just to get Yvonne on live on this new platform we're using. It's something that we're not particularly used to, but it's quite clever that we can have a little interview with one another, because we're in different counties today, aren't we? That's really cool, yeah. So Yvonne, if you'd like to just introduce yourself there. I know you've had a bit of a journey, I suppose, really to get to this point, but I'd like you just to introduce yourself, let the listeners sort of know what your history is and kind of how you got to this point in business and life as well, if that's appropriate.
It usually is with me.
Yeah.
Two go very much hand in hand. If anyone reads my blog, they'll see that I do give a lot of personal information out as well. And so I am Yvonne Radley. I am the founder of Big Met Media, which is a company that I formed 4 years ago, and it's primarily for people in that fitness, health and wellness zone. And the way I got there was, previously I was a journalist for 20 years, and unusually I've worked in all four mediums. So I've done a little bit of TV, I've worked in radio, newspapers and magazines, which is quite rare. Normally, like the fitness world, if you're a yoga teacher, you don't suddenly become a weightlifter halfway through your career. You tend to stick to one genre or the other. So it was quite unusual that I did all four. But it's paid dividends nowadays, because I teach fit pros how to get in the media, and it doesn't matter whether it's radio, print or broadcasting, I can help them. And also, of course, with the advent of social media, I teach a lot about that as well. Because over the last, particularly the last 7 years since I've been in business for myself, I've had to learn it on the fly and use a lot of my journalistic background. So I was made redundant in 2010. And at that time, I was editor for Capital FM in the East Midlands, so in charge of 3 radio stations. And all this wonderful technology that we have nowadays kind of destroyed the radio industry. And the newsroom went down from 9 to 3. And because I was editor, I was, first one out the door.
Oh, no.
With a small check in my hand. And at the time I had quite a hot personal trainer boyfriend on my arm. He's no longer around. So I said to him, why don't we take this small check and you and let's create our own boot camp? Because it was at the time, I don't know if you remember, I'm sure you do remember, in 2010, we had the big recession. And so our boot camp did very well because we were cheap and cheerful, working out in the parks. We licensed. In the end, we had 9 parks. So I built that business up from 0 to 9 boot camps and around 600 members, just under 600 members on our rota. And we started to win awards, and then people started asking me how I've done it. And I was like, well, I just send a press release. I get him on the radio and, we tap into stories that we can ride the back of, basically. And people were like, what's a press release? And I was like, oh, okay. They don't
possibly not know what a press release is, Yeah,
to me, I'd lived with hundreds of press releases coming over my desk every day. And so Big Met Media was born effectively. I launched a press release service called the Press Club, and then my product suite has grown over the years. So nowadays, the boyfriend is no longer, and I'm no longer with the boot camp, but it was a great catapult to get me to where I am, 7 years on now, and I've been running Big Met Media for really the last 4 to 5 years. I think we're just going into our 5th year. And we've helped a lot of fit pros along the way. And when I say fit pros, I don't just mean PTs. I mean, people that do Pilates, pre and postnatal. We've got therapists, chiropractors, anybody in that wellness world.
Wellness sort of spectrum. Yeah, you just took the word out of my mouth, and I think that's actually quite. I suppose the fields are sort of slightly transferable, aren't they? Really, anyone that's in fitness has a wellness, sort of aspect to their business as well, don't they? Really, yeah.
Nowadays, a lot around mindset as well. So it's not just about giving people an exercise and some nutrition. The mindset aspect of it goes into all realms. So yeah, the lines are getting more and more blurred, which is great.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, oh, that's really interesting. Then, yeah, what I really like to see, we were just chatting into this before we went live, so to speak. Here, I really like the fact that you used your journalistic experience, if that's even a word, in media, and then you've actually transferred that into social media very nicely. I think it's actually been quite a journey that you've been on, not always filled with, you know, positive stuff. I'm sort of saying that it is a bit trial and error, isn't it? We were sort of talking about some of the more defunct social media platforms that we've both tried that didn't quite, you know, sort of get us to where we wanted to go. So you end up sort of sticking with your main three, I suppose, really. So for me to be Instagram, Facebook and Twitter are probably the three main sort of platforms that I use. But it's just really interesting watching how social media for you has actually changed as well in your business.
Wow, it's interesting you say that, but because I've just grown along with it, and media is media, whether it's traditional or social. It's all about telling stories, and you'll see from my blogs that they're very much storytelling blogs. But also, I think one of the things that people don't even consider social media, and it outperforms Facebook by, you know, miles, is email.
I know, yeah.
Give me my email tomorrow and I will die. That is the best platform for me, email, because I blog using email marketing, and I'll talk about that in more depth when we do the training on Friday. But email is massive. And then I use Facebook, and I'm loving Instagram at the minute.
Yeah, I can tell you really like it. Yeah, I can tell.
But I'm what they call an early adopter. Anything that comes out, I get so excited and I jump all over it if I think it matches my audience. So there have been a couple of ones that I didn't jump on. For example, Snapchat, I just didn't get it. I didn't want to get it because it was all kids.
It's a very young feel to it, isn't it, really, with all the filters and stuff like that. I'm not really sure. I've only sort of dabbled with, well, actually, when I say dabble, I think I downloaded the app.
Yeah.
I don't understand this at all, seriously. You know, I'd need some youngster in their teens to tell me actually how to use it. So I thought, no, I don't really. And I think that's actually a relevant point as well. Whatever social media platform you choose, it needs to be where your audience hangs out.
Definitely. Or where the platform that shows your product off to its best. So, for example, if you have a very visual product, then you want to be all over Instagram or Pinterest. So if you're food, for example, if that is your product, then it's obvious that you need to be on that platform.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
But I would say that, you know, if you're showcasing your recipes on there, you're going to be attracting that audience anyway, because that's where they're going to be looking at it. So they're hanging out there as well.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. So would there be a pinnacle point that you discovered when blogging really sort of catapulted your business? Could you pinpoint where that was?
Yeah, for me, and it's not just me, I've seen this happen time and time again. My business really took off after 2 years of relentlessly blogging.
Okay.
So you've got to be consistent and persistent, and you've got to have a strategy in place, and you just cannot quit. There's no point giving up 18 months in thinking, oh, this isn't working. And that's not to say that it's going to be 2 years before you make any money. You will make money, you know, as soon as you start blogging, providing you do it right. But yeah, 2 years is the magic touch point, because by that time, people know. I always say, love, it's not enough nowadays to know, like, and trust you. They have to know, love, and trust you. And that takes a couple of years.
Definitely, yeah. It's not enough just to, like, follow you on Twitter. They've got to, like, follow you everywhere, haven't they, really? You know.
Exactly.
I like that. That's
why blogging works so well with social media as well, because not only do they get to know me from my blogs, but then they see me showcasing what I'm talking about on all of these platforms as well. So if I say, oh, you can live the dream and go traveling the world, and then 2 years ago I went traveling the world and living the dream, they're like, oh my God, she's onto something here.
It's totally true. You know, nailed it. Yeah, absolutely.
And I think it's only obvious when people, and there are a lot of people on social media that say, hey, you can live the dream and travel the world, and they never leave their living room. Then that should be a red flag to people. And people their eyes are being opened more and more, because you can trick people on social media very easily, and lots of people do. And so using the two is the very intimate, the email landing in the in tray and me communicating with you is very different to, I'm going to get on my soapbox here and rant. Some people don't actually bother to do any of that. They literally just go on Facebook and say, hey, you can live the dream life, buy my stuff. And people are sucked in by it and do buy it, and then they realize, oh, actually that didn't work. So if somebody's not doing the groundwork and messaging you personally with a blog, and then just all social media does is hold it up for them to see that the message is in the blog. You can see I'm quite passionate about blogging.
I think so, yeah. Which leads me to my next question. How important is blogging for you? So if we took the blogging platform, from underneath your feet, what would happen?
My business would die.
Really?
Yeah, that's how I earn my money.
Right, okay.
And we were talking off air and you went, but you've got a product suite, Yvonne. And it's like, yes, I have a product suite, but I only sell my products via my blog. I don't go selling on social media all the time. Yes, I might post something in my private groups because that's my crowd, and they get first on everything. But actually, you know what? Actually, hardly ever. Sometimes I will take out like a Facebook ad. But even when I do a Facebook ad, that's to get people on my list to blog to them. I never advertise. I only sell like what they call a soft sell internally to my crowd, and they are people on my list. So it's essential, vital. Yeah,
right, okay. That's really something to think about there then, isn't it?
Look,
really?
You're not blogging, you're not earning the money, you're leaving a lot of money on the table.
On the table, yeah. And I think that's actually a really important point to make for a lot of the audience that I sort of deal with, with the pre and postnatal specialists and the wellness, or anyone that attracts the female client into their business. I think that's actually quite a startling statement you've just made there, because I know a lot of them don't actually blog at all. There's just no blog function that you can set up on their website, or they don't have any list or much of a list to speak of either. So I think it's going to give them a bit of a kick, so to speak.
How do they sell their products?
Well, I think it's I think they rely on the Jeff Walker technique of hope marketing. Put a couple of posts up on Facebook, a couple of notes up on Twitter, get other people to share their posts on other baby business type pages.
So it's kind of networking on social media. But
a little bit of networking. Yeah, a little bit of networking, but there's still a lot of hope in there. You know what I mean? You're hoping that someone will actually see that and you'll get in front of the right person. Whereas in my business, to attract the right clients, I do use blogging, no question. So to attract the pre and postnatal clients, obviously I get a lot of client referrals. I mean, only just this week I've had 3 clients who are pregnant with their second baby. So they're not going to go anywhere else because they really enjoyed my classes first time around. I do use Facebook advertising though, but often the advert that I'm running is an amazing blog. It's what's called an epic blog post. So I will spend time writing, 600 really juicy words about a particular topic that I know someone who's first time pregnant would be really interested in. And then throughout that blog, there are links to my classes or links to my DVDs or my online products and things like that. And of course, obviously, right at the end, sign up to my mailing list. So I'm kind of doing a similar sort of thing to you. But if I do use Facebook advertising, it's rare that I'll put a Facebook advert out that just sells the class.
Yeah.
Want to give
they tend not to work. Yeah. Because people don't go on Facebook to buy. People go on Facebook to be entertained and to meet friends and family. It's a selling place. Although it is you can do very targeted campaigns, but again, that's just to get them onto your list really and then sell to them. Exactly,
yeah. Right, so when you answer that question there, how important is blogging? It's like your business would really suffer then, wouldn't it?
If you I'd be out of business. Yeah,
you'd be moving on to the next one, I suppose. Really, yeah. It's really quite interesting. Can you tell the viewers what's different about your style of blogging though? So how does I have a friend who's jumping on the webinar with us on Friday who uses, she's more of an interiors designer, and she does blogging in the kind of sense that she will do product reviews for other people and things like that. So that's kind of more the traditional blogging, where she gets paid to actually write reviews for other people's products and things like that. So how does your style of blogging differ to my friend Jen?
Mine is more of a diary style blog, but also it's a very educational blog. And I don't mean that I'm preaching from the pulpit by saying that, but I'm keeping people updated on media and marketing and what's happening and what they can use and utilize to grow their businesses. So whenever I'm helping people, I'm helping them to grow their businesses. For example, I've just come back from San Diego in the Social Media Marketing World Conference. So last week, every single blog was like a video tutorial showing them. I did how to create beautiful Instagram pictures. I did one on how to become known, how to use influencers, how to did I say the robots? The robots are coming. There was loads of information and little tidbits that they could implement into their business and change their lives. I like to change people's lives with the information that I share. But also, like the week before that, I was blogging, live from San Diego. So I take them on the journey with me.
It really is like being in your suitcase. It really is, or set on your shoulder sometimes when you go traveling and stuff. It's just awesome. It's really cool, yeah. And I think it just shows. I also like that you're very authentic as well, Yvonne. So if when we were sort of talking about platforms that haven't really worked for us, you're actually quite happy to admit that it didn't work and why as well. So. We all struggle in business, and as you say, like being that early adopter, I think it's important that you do try stuff out, and if it doesn't work, it's okay to go hands up, sorry, that wasn't the platform for me. I gave it a good go though.
Like podcasting, I had to go. I made #1 in iTunes with my podcast.
I know. Yeah.
It was unbelievable, but there was no return on investment, so I've shelved it for now. It's not to say I won't go back and do it in the future, but I was just like, I don't get the point. In America, it's very big, and I think we're just starting to catch on over here. I think I was a very early adopter. This was like 2 years ago.
Yeah, UK based, definitely. Yeah.
So I was a bit too early with that one. I jumped on Meerkat. Wrong horse. I should have jumped on Periscope.
Yeah.
Although that's kind of a bit defunct now because of Facebook Live. So.
Yeah. Well, I think. Well, actually, we were talking about Periscope there off air, weren't we? And I was sort of saying that I actually really enjoy the platform, and I think what you pointed out, it was a good practice run, wasn't it? Really. So, you knew at what sort of point you needed to put the camera without really realizing and stuff, and you knew you got the confidence, I think, really to be able to do Insta stories and Facebook stories and Facebook Lives and all that sort of stuff without, without a hesitation of hitting the.
It's all a precursor to what's coming. If you saw Mark Zuckerberg's presentation yesterday, it blew my mind. I knew augmented reality was on the way, but oh my God. And he talked about the phone being the new platform. So they've been preparing us. They've been beta testing us with these filters and the silly hats and all of that kind of stuff. It's just getting us ready for augmented and virtual reality.
Right.
So that's quite fascinating, but that's that's a blog post in itself.
That's a blog post in it. Actually, it's probably a 3-parter, isn't it? That one you could squeeze.
It does keep me going for the next decade, I would imagine.
I think so. Yeah. Now, with your journalistic experience, I kind of get the impression that you enjoyed writing before.
Oh yeah, I love writing.
Yeah. And I would sort of even say that that's actually probably how that's aligned very nicely with your Big Me Up Media sort of business. I was sort of saying again there, just sort of off air, we were sort of just saying, I feel as though you are a bit of a Sex and the City type style to your blog sometimes.
I hope you mean Carrie and not Samantha.
Absolutely. Yeah, let's just get the right person here.
Although you have met Drunk Yvonne.
I have. Drunk Yvonne is pretty awesome. Yeah, I have to say.
She doesn't come out very often, but when
she doesn't. No. But when that box opens and she pops out, she's pretty good. Yeah. We might relive that perhaps in September when we see each other in Spain.
Yeah, in Marbella, yeah.
Drunk Yvonne.
So sorry, what was the question there?
Yeah, so it's just really about kind of, have you always enjoyed writing? Do you think being a journalist helped with that? Is it sort of something that you have to have a passion for to for it to be aligned with your Big Me Up, media.
Okay. I mean, for me personally, yeah, I am passionate about writing. I can't imagine not writing. I love doing my blog, and I love the written word. You can tell by the way that I write, I literally think it and then I send it out. And you know what, even though I'm a journalist, it has typos in it and all sorts. Sometimes I get emails back from people going, "No, you've missed the R off." Yeah. And I'm like, I don't care.
No.
I was like, I need to get it out of my head and out to the world, because you can tell the way it's written. I've like had this idea, I want to share it with you, and I literally talk to one person when I'm blogging. So I'm telling you about it, I'm sharing a little bit of my life, and then I press send and it's gone out into the world. And I love the whole process. However, I also love a Facebook Live, and so I'll go on camera. I love a podcast, and so I'll do audio. I just love communicating and getting the message out. And I think for your guys that are going to be looking in the future at doing blogs, it doesn't always have to be the written word. If you're a terrible writer, you could get somebody to transcribe it. Even Google Transcribe nowadays is very good. Bot in there. So you could just literally dictate and get somebody to transcribe. Or you could do a vlog, a video blog. It doesn't always have to be the written word. It could be audio. It could be a presentation. And you'll see sometimes I like to mix it up. Sometimes today's was just like one question, a quick question.
I saw that, yeah, came into me.
And I literally asked people for feedback. So it was a bit of a survey. But I love that, to gauge where my crowd are at and what they want help with, that kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, it's really, really interesting. I think the different types of blogging as well. I think if you don't write very well, or you just don't have that passion for writing, but you're quite happy to do something like a podcast or an interview like we're doing now, this works really well. And also or video. There's lots of different ways of getting your message out there and communicating with your audience. So if the written word isn't really something that you want to be doing, but maybe, as you say, like pictures is more your product or something like that. So then the Pinterest and the Instagram stuff are going to kind of really, really shine or showcase your products better, aren't they? Really. So it's just about finding what medium, I suppose, works well for you.
To go with what you're happy with and put that out. As long as you're giving your message regularly, that's all that matters.
Yeah. And I think what people don't realize is you can do a video and then create a blog post with the video in it. Yeah. People are sometimes like, but it has to be written word if it's a blog. No. Sometimes I'll chop and change a Facebook Live, just actually edit out a video that I've done. And then it's just got that little snapshot of information in it. And that's my blog post.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. It doesn't even need to be many minutes at all, really.
Keep it short and sweet.
Yeah, for videos, But, there are a lot of industries that I'm dealing with the pre and postnatal specialists and those that are attracting female clients into their business, that I think actually it would be better for them to do a video showcasing their talents and showcasing them. And it's also, you're getting more of a window into the soul of a person.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Now then, so final question I have here for you, Yvonne, which I thought was quite relevant. What are some of your highest read blogs? Do you know which ones are the popular blogs?
Yeah, I know immediately without even looking. So
oh, really? You ask a blog question, she knows the answer.
The one that got the most feedback from people, where my inbox exploded, was when me and my partner, the guy that I started the boot camp with, when we split. I did a blog post about that. It was a very raw blog post to let people know what was happening, because I'd suddenly disappeared from social media. I'd gone on holiday for a week, and then there was another week that went past, because we split on the last day of the holiday, and then there was another week that went past, and then people were starting to message me going, "Is everything okay?" Because I live on Facebook. And I thought, I need to tell everyone what's happened, and I think the quickest way is just to blog. And so at that time I was blogging for the boot camp as well. And so the blog went to all the people at the boot camp and then all the people at Big Me Up as well that had started to come onto my list. Yeah. That was the biggest blog I've ever done. It got the most opens and the most, I can't remember what I titled it. I think it was Sad News.
Say again?
I think it was called Sad News.
Oh, yes, it was, I think. Yeah, it's bad news. I've got bad news, something like that, wasn't it? Yeah.
Other blogs that work really well and get a really high open rate is anything to do with money in the title. And I think it depends on your crowd. I mean, it might be, it probably would be different for your crowd. I would suggest something with baby in the title might work well for you guys. But for my guys who are looking to grow their business and make more money, anytime I put a blog out with money in the title, it gets a massive open rate. Okay. And sorry is another one that works really well. If you send a blog, you can only do it every so often, but you'll notice it gets a massive open rate because they're like, oh my God, what's she sorry for? that baby gets opened. So I probably pull that one out of the bag maybe once a year.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's usually if I want them to know about something. I'll do something.
So I think for that breakup blog, should we call it?
Yeah.
That's your Sex in the City moment right there, isn't it? That might have also been a good turning point for the style of blog that, perhaps that's how it changed or something.
Yeah, and also it brought my crowd closer to me because they were all feeling my pain. Is that no love and trust again? Yeah. It was around that time actually, the 2 years. I'd already been kind of blogging for 2 years at that point.
Yeah, so that was probably the pinnacle kind of moment when that happened then, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really? For a few reasons, obviously, but that's really interesting stuff there actually, yeah. I find sometimes you've got to, going with a snappy title for a blog is really, really useful. I think sometimes I go with a question for my clients, clients like, I'm trying to think of something I did there sort of recently. It was on sort of like how many calories you need for breastfeeding or something like that, but it wasn't that boring. It was actually quite a snappy sort of title. I think it pays really to, I tend to on mine brainstorm about 3 different titles just as I'm writing it. Yeah. And then go with the one that just has either the fewer characters or a snappy sort of,
Now, what I would say there is I would split test that, and I've been doing a bit of this myself.
Oh, have you? Okay. Yeah,
because you would be surprised, actually. I've been playing, I don't know if you've noticed, it'd be quite interesting to get your take on this, see if you've noticed, but I normally do snappy short titles because I'm a girl that wrote a lot for the tabloids, and so that is my style of writing. I'm very short, very snappy, used to the sunspots. Write for all the red tops, as they called them. I was even called Red Top Radley. And so I always do snappy headlines. However, I've been testing long form headlines and they're getting a very good open rate for me.
Oh, are they? Okay.
Yeah, I've literally been doing an entire sentence that can't even read it. And when I look at it, my OCD kicks in because on the email thing at the side, you can't read the whole title. Yes. And normally I like to be able to read the title. You have to kind of open it to see what it says. But it's working well. So for you, you could test it with some of your lists, do the short, snappy titles to one list, longer ones to another, and see which one performs better.
See what happens. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, because I've actually just recently amalgamated my pre and postnatal client newsletter. So I was writing a postnatal newsletter once a week and then a pregnancy one. And I've decided, sort of this year, it was just too much work for me really to keep coming up with new content. So, I kind of merged them together and sent a little sort of announcement out to my list and stuff like that. And also asked for them for some feedback as well. So I knew that what I had planned to blog about and write about for the first quarter was sort of on point with what they were wanting. And it's fairly aligned, I suppose, really. But I have 2 separate lists, so I could, as you say, split test that. So I could send out a different headline to my pregnant clients, exactly the same article, obviously, and then a separate one for the postnatal segment of that list or something. I might try to do that.
That'd be interesting.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Yvonne. It's been I've actually been writing some notes down here as you've been talking, but it's been a really interesting broadcast. I'm looking forward to seeing you actually live on Friday on my Give Birth to Your Blog webinar. That's the catchy title there. So those of you that are watching this live or as the recording, if you've got all the way through to the end, then, you know, hallelujah to you, because it's for a while. But I hope you found it actually, you know, informative. And I just think it was just Yvonne's just her story. Everything about Yvonne is story for me. So she's got like a backstory, she's got the current story, you know, everything's really to do with an Insta stories and Facebook stories and stuff like that. So Yvonne's segment really is kind of a bit of a how-to, I suppose, isn't it, really, how to get your story out there. And she's up first, actually, aren't you? I've got 3 speakers on the webinar, so you're up first at 11. So you're going to take us through your story of blogging and actually kind of get into the nitty-gritty as to how to get it out there and get your message out to the world so that more people can view it. My second speaker is Jen Stanbrook. She's from Love Chic Living, and she's an award-winning interiors design blogger. So very different, but very, how can I describe it? It's very standard blogging, I suppose she does. But she jumped on Pinterest very early on, and she's actually got a million hits from Pinterest alone to her blog. Wow. So that's pretty awesome. So she's going to give you some Pinterest insights, I suppose, really on how you could get more people viewing your blog just by using some tips on Pinterest. And then I'm finishing up around about 4 o'clock. I think my segment is 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon on Friday. And I'll just be talking a little bit more about the basics of blogging, because I'm kind of aware that there are a lot of pre and postnatal specialists and female wellness experts out there that don't even have the blog function set up on their website. So I'm going to take it really back to basics. They're not technical at all. Your segment's not too technical, is it, Yvonne?
No.
That's all right then. Whew. I was just making sure, because we want to sort of really harness the wellness expert here and just walk them through step by step what it is they need to be doing really to get their message out there. And I'm hoping with you, Yvonne, and Jen, 2 really inspirational speakers that are from very different spectrums of the blogging world, so to speak, there. But I'm hoping that they will inspire you to actually get your message out there. And really what we're all about as well is attracting the right client into your business and actually winning more business as well. And that's really what you do in your blog as well, isn't it, really?
Definitely.
So if you'd like to sign up for the webinar, I'll stick a little link in the Facebook Live sort of video in the comments section, or you could just check out any of the streams and other live videos that we've done here on my Facebook page. And I'm going to close now, Yvonne. I'd just like to say thank you very much for giving away all that such fabulous information. It's been really enjoyable chatting to you. And well, the best thing is I get to see you again on Friday.
Friday, can't wait.
Literally, yeah. So this just brings us closer together, doesn't it, really, in the virtual world? Alrighty. Thanks again, Yvonne. Take care.
You're welcome. See you later.
Bye.